Hey guys, I'm so excited. I love that we've continued on our messenger mentoring group. It's so amazing. We need to just keep it up. I'm so proud of all of you guys. I love getting your text messages every day on my messaging app and finding out what's happening. It just feels so good. So I wanted to share a couple things with you guys today of things that have helped me be successful. This is my son Ben, and he's 5. He's gonna hang out with me today. So the first thing I'm gonna share with you that's helped me this year has to do with something that's changed about my thinking. And the second thing I'm gonna share with you is some things that we teach our clients when we develop websites on what are some of the main things that I would suggest that you include on any website page. Okay, so I listened to a podcast this last year, Better Than Happy by Jody Moore. I listen to her all the time, and I love her. She teaches that our circumstances are neutral, but our thoughts about the circumstances are what create feelings. And so, as you guys know, we've had a lot of medical challenges this past year in our family, and things have been difficult, to say the least. And I got to the point last year where I was really frustrated and really resentful, and was coming to my family with a place of anger and lack, and I was exhausted, and rightfully so. And what Jody Moore taught was that she taught that our thoughts create our feelings. And so what you're thinking about the situation that you're in is what creates the feeling that you have about the situation. And I realized that if I continued to have negative thoughts about my circumstance, that I would continue to show up for my family in a negative way. And that would hinder healing. And we all needed healing. My husband needed help healing with his brain. I needed my heart to heal, and I needed the energy to take care of my family. And so the thing that Jody Moore said in her podcast is, she's like, make a case for your family. Make a case for your spouse. Make a case for yourself. Because if you make a case for something, your brain, you're going to use your brain and find evidence for whatever it is that you're looking for. And so I began a very diligent study about how amazing my family is. I spent time in my journal writing consciously and all the things that I was grateful for, and how amazing my husband was, and how lucky my kids were, and how amazing my children were, and how awesome I was. And it was incredible what happened as a transformation. I know that I don't control much of anything except for myself, but when I show up grateful and happy, then what happens is that the people around me can feel that, and they can choose what to do with that. They can choose how to feel that situation. So that would be my first thing, is that whatever circumstance you're in, whatever your plans are for 2019, that you make a choice about what you're going to think about your circumstance. And that's going to create your feelings. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. Just yesterday, my husband and I were upstairs, and we had a couple of kids playing, and our home has totally transformed this year. It really has. From stressed out and angry and frustrated and lots of bickering, to just a home of joy and a home of happiness and gratitude. And I'm so, like yesterday, I just was saying to my husband, there's so much happiness here. And our circumstances haven't necessarily even changed, but I feel like I've totally transformed, and I feel so much joy. So to sum that all up is to make a case for your life. Make a case for yourself, make a case for your spouse, make a case for your children about how awesome you are. And you will find evidence all around you. My second piece of advice, I'm going to talk a little bit about web development. Everyone who has a business needs a website. Everyone. When we have a new client, we give them this packet. This is a messaging and design kit, and I'm going to actually put this in a link. This is my gift to you. And this has things about technology. It's a great place to save your passwords for your hosting and your server, for your URL, wherever you got your URL. There's a whole page on here about color psychology. You want to reinforce your message and your feeling with every medium. So there's content, there's graphics, there's photography, there's colors. And if you can marry all three of those components in your website, you're going to more quickly reinforce the message of how you solve somebody's problem. I'm not going to go through that today, but that is in the packet. So, but what I am going to go through really quickly, this is the kind of the brief version, is we're going to talk about identifying your client, solving their problems, like identifying what problems they have and how you solve their problem, and then the layout and order of your website. You're taking them on a story. Anytime you read a book or you go to a movie that's successful, a blockbuster, successful book or movie, they have followed a formula. It's ancient. It's been around forever. When you follow the formula, it works. We're going to talk about the website formula. Number one, who is your client? And you can pause this video, take notes. I'm going to run through things quickly, understanding that you're going to have to do some more homework. So you're welcome to pause the video. But brain dump every kind of person that's your client. You know, and the more specific you can be, the better. Are they in business? Is it business to business, or is it business to consumer? Is it men? Is it women? Is it children? Is it adults? Are they in education? Are they out of education? What kind of interest do they have? Then once you brain dump all the kinds of people you want to work with, identify 3 specific genres of people that you want to work with. And then for the purpose of clarity, I want you to just fine-tune one group of people. And it might be something as specific as women between 35 and 45 who love ginger cats. Okay. It might be men who enjoy bicycle riding. Okay. But the more specific you can be with your demographic, the more likely you will get the people who see your product or service to buy. And then what you can do is once you fine tune that one message, then you can pick another demographic and provide a message for that different demographic. But it's really important to identify who they are, because as you'll see in the next step, we're going to talk a little bit about the problems you solve. Now, we just talked in depth. I just spent quite a bit of time with Shelly Jo working on this. So I'm going to use the things that we came up with her as an example. But once you have your demographic, you're going to find out 3 kinds of problems they have. Number 1 is an interior problem. Number 2 is an exterior problem, and number 3 is a philosophical or a moral problem. And if you can understand those 3 problems of your client, you're going to be able to tailor a message that showcases that you can solve the problem. People really don't care what you know unless they know that you're going to help them. And the way that you know that you're going to help them is you're going to identify and speak to the problems in a way that only somebody that's been through the trenches understands. Right? And so, okay, so for example, we're going to talk about Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker, it's a hero's journey. That's the kind of story that we're working with Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, his internal problem, can I be a good Jedi? He's thinking, like, what is he thinking about inside that nobody really knows except for the moviegoers who are kind of privy to that information. His external problem, the problem that's happening on the outside of his body, is that his dad wants to rule the universe with the Death Star. That's the problem. He's going to destroy the planet and destroy the universe. The internal problem, his struggle, like his heart problem, what is he dealing with in his heart is, am I strong enough to resist the dark side? Okay. We love Luke Skywalker because we're rooting for him, because we see ourselves in him. We see this internal conflict, and we can understand why it's so hard for him, because he wants to know his father and he wants to be part of and connected to his father. And yet his father is the dark side, and this kind of internal struggle. But here's the thing is, if we didn't like Luke Skywalker, we wouldn't be rooting for him, right? If you look at Darth Vader's problems, I'm not rooting for Darth Vader. He has external problems and internal problems, but I don't want him to win because I don't like him. Luke Skywalker, we are rooting for him, and we are like craving for him to conquer, because we want to celebrate his success. Okay, I'm going to take that same principle and I'm going to share with you what we came up with Shelly Jo. She's working on a weight loss program for women who are like 40 to 50. They spent their lifetime serving their family and their community. They haven't put themselves as a priority, and they in turn have excess weight, right? So the external problem is the weight loss that they have extra weight. That's the problem. The solution is that they're going to lose weight, right? But if you just say you're just going to lose weight, that's not going to happen unless they deal with the other problems, the internal problem of, I don't put myself first. That's the internal problem, right? I don't have time. I don't have energy. I'm always putting somebody else first besides myself. The heart problem, so they don't value themselves enough to make the time, right? So the weight gain is a symptom of the heart problem and the head problem. And if you can identify those two things, you're going to resonate immediately with the solution. Does that make sense? And so I want you to take time to figure out the internal problem, external problem, and the heart problem that consumer, that client is really going after. Then what I need you to do is identify a one sentence phrase and then a one paragraph phrase that explains how you solve your customer's problem. That one phrase, what's going to happen is on your homepage, you're going to do a big banner at the very top of that page, and it's going to have 5 to 7 words on it, no more than 10. Like literally, it's a billboard. It has to be, you have to be able to see it super quickly. And it needs an action verb. How does your client change? Like, what is the action that's happening? The word that we came up with, Shelly Joe, was transform. We're transforming people, right? These women are actually changing into different beings. They're shedding the old and they're strengthening the new, okay? So what kind of action verbs can you use when you're describing how you're solving their problem? When you create that phrase, you're going to put it on top of a picture that is the resolved outcome of the problem you solve. Do you remember how I spoke just a minute ago about how we have to marry the concepts of color psychology and the words and the pictures? What's going to happen is that the people who see your website, immediately they have a visual picture of the problem that's solved, and if they have that same problem, they're going to start picturing themselves with that resolved outcome. So different than a book, you don't see that picture until the end of the book or the end of the story. With a website, you're going to have that be the very first thing. We're putting the last chapter on the heading of the page. Does that make sense? So I'm going to have a 5 to 7 word sentence that describes how you solve the problem with a picture of the resolved outcome of the problem you solve. Then you're going to have that small paragraph that explains what you do, how you solve their problem, and then you're going to explain 3 steps. So you make it really clear. You're going to connect with them and show them how you can solve the problem, and then you're going to take them down the path. This is the first step. This is the second step. This is the outcome. So it might be the first thing you do is you download this free report. Number 2 is you're going to learn a bunch about weight loss. And number 3, I'm going to be your guide in this class, and we're going to go on this journey, and you are going to have a resolution to the problem of being overweight. It could be call to schedule an appointment. Number 2, you're going to work on using your amino acids and your hypnotherapy practice that you've learned with me. And number 3 is you're going to feel calm and collected. Okay, so just really, really, really simple. 1, 2, 3. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to enter in as the guide. Every hero in the hero's journey formula has a guide. Okay, who knows who Luke Skywalker's guide is? Yoda, right? Everyone has a guide. Harry Potter, who is Harry Potter's guide? Dumbledore, right? Guides teach and train, and then they have to leave, and the hero has to do it on their own. So you are the guide. Now, this is another mistake that people make, is that they, as the company, or they as the business owner, they want to be the hero. Don't make that mistake. Make the hero your client. You're taking them on a journey. You're guiding them. So eventually, when you leave the picture, they have the tools to conquer the battles on their own. Okay, so then this is where you give social proof of how amazing you are. You give social proof of your expertise, why you're empathetic to the hero's problems, why you have personal experience with the hero's problems, how are you professionally certified and qualified to give these people advice. And like, so this would be the place where you put in logos of like if you graduated from a university or college or you have a certification or a certain number of hours. And then what you're gonna do is you need to add social proof. Social proof needs to be done in a couple ways because you have right brain people and you have left brain people. So after you tell people, hey, I'm your guide, I know how to solve this problem, I want to walk you through this problem, you are going to give social proof. Using statistics, I really love using statistics, and I would pick 4 or 5 and put them across the website. So, you know, I've done 5,000 hours of massage therapy. We've developed over 350 websites. That's a lot, right? Over 4,000 pages we've developed on websites. Programming hours we've combined is like 30 years of combined experience. So make the numbers, pick a couple numbers that are small and then a couple numbers that are big. So one of our clients, they do, they find inspectors for residential real estate. So what we did is we figured out how many houses on average they find inspectors for. And then we figured out the average house size, like the square footage, and did the number of square feet that this company has helped inspect. And it was like 28 billion square feet of houses or something like that. But you're giving social proof. That's to the left side of your brain, right? That there's a quantity of experience. The right side of the brain, you're going to speak about testimonials. And what I would suggest with testimonials, don't get a big long paragraph. Don't do that. Get one sentence testimonials and make it big font, like a 50-point font, really big. So, because people just want to skim it. They just want to skim the website. They're not going to read on that homepage. They just want to skim it. You could do case studies. You can do before and after, which is really, really powerful. And then what I want you to do, you could put in logos of companies you've worked for. If you're business to business, you can do logos of companies you've helped. Then, so you're doing, you're saying you are the expert and you can be the guide, and then you're backing that up with what other people are saying through your testimonials, case studies of like what's actually happened for individuals, big numbers of how many times you've helped people. You're going to show people what the benefits are if they take action and what pain they're going to avoid if they don't take action. And sometimes that little piece right there really helps people pull the trigger and say, yes, I definitely want to work with you and I want to take that next step. The last thing that you're going to do on the website is to reinforce that call to action. Now, we talked a little bit up at the top when you do that 1, 2, 3. That number 1 spot is going to be the next step for them. What do you want them to do? And what I would suggest on that homepage is only to have 2 buttons. A lot of people will do that big navigation across the top, but some web developers are eliminating that altogether and just having 1 button of whatever it is you want them to do. What I have found is that it's really good to have 2 options. Number 1 is a free option that in exchange for an email, you can give them something for free. And number 2 is that first entry level product that you're selling in order to start that relationship. And the reason why I have 2 calls to action is because some people just aren't ready. Think about it when you were courting your spouse. If your spouse asked you to marry him the very first date, what would you have done? Me too. Run away. But you're developing a relationship with that person. And so if you can collect an email address, you're going to be able to continue to court them until they're ready to purchase. Some people want to buy right now. They see the problem that you solve. They have that problem. They're going to buy that solution. Some people need to see you 5, 6, 12, maybe 18 times before they buy something from you. And so if you give them something in exchange for an email, then you're going to be able to start developing that relationship online and maybe even at live events. and then have an option where they can buy something. What's the very next step? Is it a phone call? A lot of high ticket item clients, especially if it's like a higher ticket item or if it's something that requires customization, the phone call is what you want. If you're selling a book, a $14 product or a $15 product, you don't want to have a phone call for every book you need to sell. You just take them to the shopping cart. Does that make sense? So that there's that call to action and that you're letting them know what is the next step, making it really clear. Only offer 1, maybe 2 links on the whole website. And you can have those links scattered throughout, but so that they're not asking that person to make multiple decisions. You're just asking them to make one decision, right? So just to reiterate, the very first panel is going to be a picture of the resolved outcome of the problem you solve with a 5 to 10 word phrase with an action verb showing the problem you solve. You're going to explain what you do, how you solve their problem in a 1 paragraph format. Then you're going to do steps 1, 2, 3 to take them from no contact with you to resolve problem and what that experience is like. You're going to enter in as the guide and show them how you are the guide, testimonials, case studies, numbers to show that you know what you're talking about. Then you're going to show before and after pictures. You're going to showcase the best possible outcome if they say yes and the possible pain they're going to avoid if they say no. And then you're going to reiterate with a call to action. And that, my friends, is the hero's journey. If you look up, just Google it, hero's journey on your website. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. Love you guys. Bye.